Hi, this is Nick Davis from graphicdesignemployment.com, and this is a tutorial on how to cut out hair from a background using Photoshop. This image here I chose because I wanted to find a really complicated one to work on, one that had a very detailed background and hair that was very fine and curly and really blended into the background almost inextricably. And this was one of the ones that I found. Um, and now this tutorial is going to start off with this and end up with something like this. So if this is the sort of thing that you want to know how to do, then this will hopefully cover it. Now every image, certainly every hair cutout image that you work on has different attributes, and so not every step in this tutorial will work for every image. It is very much a case of trial and error. This image is going to focus on using a combination of color replace, blending mode options, and a bit of cleaning up channels to achieve the finished result. But different images require different approaches, and this is why I've done 3 or 4 tutorials. Each one approaches the subject quite differently. This one does a lot of work with the layers, another one with channels, another one I use the fluid mask plugin for. Hopefully you will find something from one of these tutorials that will help you with your particular image. So as I said, every image has elements working against you, and generally there's at least one element that works in your favor. Now this image has several things working against me, not least of which are the steps over here on the left, and they've got this sort of strip of white that juts in to the hair, and you can really see it cutting into the background there. And also the railings, vertical railings over on the right hand side. That's one problem. The second problem is obviously the hair itself is very fine and frizzy, and it's going to be very difficult to extract. However, the good news is there is one thing that is working strongly in our favor, and that is the hair color itself, and that is what we're going to focus on. I like to work non-destructively when I'm working with images, which means I keep copies of all the source files, all the layers, so that if I do make some kind of error and I want to revert, then I don't have to resort to using the history palette too much, because if you save a file and close it, of course the history is lost. So it's better to make sure that you keep copies of all the layers in progress to work non-destructively. So what we're going to do throughout this tutorial is make a number of copies of the background layer. You can do this all in one go at the beginning, or you can do it as you go. I'm going to do it as I go. And the first thing we want to do is copy the background layer. So we're just going to duplicate that by dragging it over the Create New Layer button here, and there it is. Now next we're going to invert this top layer. So we're going to go Image, Adjustments, Invert. Next, from the blending drop down menu here, I'm going to select Color so that it turns back into a positive, and the blue is really starting to show through now. And now I'm going to duplicate the background layer again, select the 2 top layers, right click on it, or control click if you're on a Mac, and then select Merge Layers. So now we have 2 layers, this blue one and the original underneath. The next thing we're going to do is invert this top layer again. So we're going to go Image, Adjustments, Invert. Let's do that again, Invert. And then select Linear Burn. And now we've got rid of a lot of the background. It's gone very dark. Obviously her arms and shoulders and body down here has as well, but we can fix that later. The important thing is the hair is really starting to show up now. Firstly, I'm going to duplicate the background layer again, select the top two layers, and again right click and merge those two layers. The next thing we're going to do is use levels to brighten up this red. So go Image, Adjustments, Levels. Now, assuming you're working in RGB color mode, and we are, to make sure you are, select Image Mode, RGB Color. Assuming you're working in RGB, you'll see under the channel pop-up in the Levels dialog box here, a red, green and blue channel. And these correspond to the red, green and blue channels in your channels palette. There. So what we're going to do is select Image, Levels, and we're going to select the red channel and drag the white slider up to about where this sort of histogram chart begins. If we take it too far up, this detail around here will start to be lost. So just take it up to where the histogram starts. Then select the green channel and drag the black slider down to the right, and then the blue, drag the black slider down to the right, and that will get rid of any blue and green information and enhance the red, and we're going to click OK. Now, as I said before, this works for this image because the hair was very red to begin with, and that's what we're using to our advantage. But every image is different, every hair color is going to be slightly different, so it's a matter of trial and error. Just do what works for the image in question. We're going to use Replace Color to start to turn this red into white, or a very much lighter hue. So to do that, we're going to go Image, Adjustments, Replace Color. And we end up with this dialog box. We're going to click on an area of bright red right here in the middle and take the fuzziness slider all the way up. We're going to take the saturation down and the lightness all the way up. And now you can really start to see that we are getting close to an almost monochromatic channel that we're going to be able to work with. So let's click OK. So the next thing we're going to do is select all and copy the selection with this top layer selected. And then I'm going to hide that layer, go to the Channels palette, click Create New Channel, and it'll create one called Alpha 1, and then paste the selection into it. Now it goes, turns into a completely mono image because it's a single channel plate, and this is what we're now going to work on. So we want to deselect and now start work on this. So the first thing I'm going to do is block out the areas of white and black. So everything we want to keep is going to be white, and everything we want to get rid of is going to be black.